Welcome to Channel Forensic 360. Our today's topic is the autopsy process, understanding forensic pathology. This presentation will explore the intricacies of the autopsy process, offering insights into this crucial facet of forensic pathology. What is an autopsy? Defining the medical investigation. An autopsy, as a systematic medical investigation, has a primary objective centered on meticulously identifying three key elements: the cause, mechanism, and manner of death. The cause of death refers to the specific injury, disease, or pathological condition directly responsible for ending life, such as a gunshot wound, myocardial infarction, or bacterial infection. The mechanism of death explores the physiological or biochemical processes triggered by the cause, such as exsanguination, severe blood loss, respiratory failure, or cardiac arrest, which ultimately led to the cessation of vital functions. Finally, the manner of death classifies the circumstances surrounding the fatality into categories such as natural, accidental, homicide, suicide, or undetermined, a distinction critical for legal and statistical purposes. To achieve this, forensic pathologists or medical examiners employ a combination of macroscopic observations, microscopic tissue analysis, toxicology screenings, radiological imaging, and laboratory tests. These methods help uncover hidden factors like drug overdoses, genetic disorders, or environmental exposures that may have contributed to the death. By synthesizing this data, autopsies not only resolve uncertainties for families and legal authorities but also contribute to public health records, medical research, and the refinement of clinical practices. In cases of suspicious deaths, this process becomes indispensable for criminal investigations, ensuring accountability and justice, while in hospital settings, it helps identify medical errors or undiagnosed conditions, ultimately improving healthcare standards. The purpose: unraveling medical mysteries and legal insights. 1. Autopsies aid in understanding the nature of diseases and their impact on the body. 2. They provide evidence for legal investigations, including criminal cases and medical malpractice. 3. They offer valuable insights into public health issues and disease trends. Autopsies serve critical roles in medicine and law. By examining bodies post-mortem, they reveal disease mechanisms, uncovering how illnesses progress and cause death, enhancing medical understanding. Legally, autopsies provide objective evidence in criminal cases determining causes of suspicious deaths and in malpractice suits, identifying negligence or errors. Additionally, they inform public health by tracking disease patterns, for example, heart disease, COVID-19, or occupational hazards, guiding preventive strategies. Through these insights, autopsies bridge individual mortality with broader societal knowledge, aiding justice, advancing healthcare, and safeguarding communities by addressing preventable risks and improving diagnostic accuracy. External examination, first steps in the investigative process. The external autopsy phase begins with a detailed visual inspection, documenting physical traits, injuries, abrasions, scars, and medical interventions. Tools like magnifiers or UV light detect hidden evidence. Samples are collected. Post-mortem changes, rigor mortis, Livorno mortis, are assessed to estimate time of death, guiding internal examination and clarifying death circumstances. The external examination meticulously documents visible injuries, abrasions, lacerations, contusions, surgical scars, wound size, location, shape, and identifying marks like tattoos, birthmarks, or scars. Photographs, diagrams, and written descriptions record evidence such as ligature marks, gunshot residue, or patterned bruises. This step also notes post-mortem changes, Livorno mortis, rigor mortis, and collects trace evidence fibers, DNA, for forensic analysis. In simple words, the external autopsy starts by carefully looking over the body to note everything visible like injuries, cuts, bruises, scars, medical treatments for lines, surgery marks, and unique features, tattoos, birthmarks. Special tools, such as magnifying glasses or UV lights, help spot hidden clues like faint bruises or fibers. Photos and diagrams are taken to record details. They also check changes that happen after death, like stiffening, rigor mortis, or blood settling, Livorno mortis, to guess when the person died. Samples, hair, DNA, gunshot residue are collected for lab testing. All this helps figure out how the person died and provides evidence for investigations. Internal examination, the detailed surgical approach. The internal examination involves carefully opening the body cavities. Organs are removed, weighed, and meticulously examined. The brain is often removed and sectioned for detailed analysis. During the internal autopsy, the body is opened to inspect organs like the heart, lungs, liver, and kidneys. Each organ is taken out, weighed, and closely checked for damage, disease, or abnormalities like tumors or infections. The brain is carefully removed, sometimes cut into sections, to look for issues such as bleeding, swelling, or signs of stroke. This detailed process helps uncover hidden causes of death, confirms medical conditions, or identifies injuries, for example, internal bleeding that weren't visible externally. The findings are documented to support conclusions about how and why the person died. Now talk about tools and techniques of forensic pathologists. Scalpels precisely dissect tissues and organs. During an internal autopsy, tissues and organs are carefully cut open and studied with precision. Experts look for hidden damage, for example, ruptured blood vessels, tumors, infections, or diseases like liver cirrhosis or lung scarring. Tiny samples are taken for lab tests, microscopic analysis, toxicology to detect toxins, genetic issues, or cell abnormalities. Organs like the heart might be sliced to check for blocked arteries, while the lungs are inspected for fluid buildup. This step reveals how diseases or injuries affected the body internally, confirms causes of death, and uncovers clues, for example, drug overdoses, genetic disorders that aren't visible to the naked eye. Microscopes examine microscopic structures and tissues. After organs are removed during an autopsy, tiny pieces of tissue are cut from them. These samples are treated with special dyes and studied under a microscope. This step reveals details invisible to the naked eye, like damaged cells, for example, cancer, signs of disease, for example, liver cirrhosis, infections, or blockages in blood vessels. It can also detect toxins, genetic disorders, or chronic conditions like diabetes-related kidney damage. Microscopic analysis helps confirm the exact cause of death, uncover hidden illnesses, or explain symptoms the person had while alive. Combined with other findings, it builds a complete picture for medical or legal purposes. X-rays identify fractures, foreign objects, or other abnormalities. During an autopsy, experts check bones for fractures, breaks, or cracks using X-rays or careful physical inspection, which can reveal injuries from accidents, assaults, or diseases like osteoporosis. They also search for foreign objects, bullets, shrapnel, swallowed items that may have caused or contributed to death. Other abnormalities, tumors, cysts, birth defects, or organ damage are identified by closely examining tissues and organs. These findings help explain how injuries occurred, link evidence to weapons or suspects in crimes, or uncover hidden medical issues. Combined with other autopsy results, this builds a clear story of the person's health and cause of death. Organ analysis and microscopic investigation. 1. Organs are carefully examined for abnormalities. 2. Tissue samples are taken and prepared for microscopic examination. 3. Microscopic analysis reveals cellular changes and disease processes. Organs, heart, lungs, liver, etc., are inspected for visible issues like damage, tumors, or inflammation, for example, a scarred liver in cirrhosis or a blocked artery in heart disease. Small pieces of organs are preserved in chemicals, sliced thinly, and dyed to highlight structures. This prepares them for microscope viewing. Under a microscope, experts spot cellular-level problems like cancer cells, infection, or tissue death that explain disease progression or hidden conditions, for example, kidney damage from diabetes. These findings confirm causes of death and uncover silent illnesses, aiding medical understanding or legal cases. Let's explore toxicology and advanced diagnostic methods in depth. 1. Toxicology tests detect the presence of drugs, poisons, or other substances. 2. Advanced imaging techniques, such as CT scans and MRI, provide detailed anatomical views. 3. Molecular analysis can identify genetic mutations or other cellular alterations. Body fluids, blood, urine, or tissues are tested in a lab to find drugs, for example, overdoses, alcohol, poisons, for example, arsenic, or toxins, for example, carbon monoxide. This reveals if substances caused or contributed to death. CT scans or MRIs create detailed 3D images of bones, organs, or injuries without cutting the body. These scans detect hidden issues like fractures, tumors, or internal bleeding, especially useful in trauma cases or when a full autopsy isn't possible, for example, religious objections. Lab techniques study DNA, proteins, or cells to uncover genetic mutations, for example, inherited heart conditions, cancer markers, or infections, for example, viral DNA. This helps identify rare diseases, hereditary risks, or cellular changes linked to the cause of death. Together, these methods combine physical evidence, technology, and lab science to solve medical mysteries or legal questions. Now talk about documenting findings. Creating comprehensive medical reports, which includes 1. Cause of death. 2. Mechanism of death. 3. Manner of death. The cause of death is the specific injury, disease, or medical condition that directly initiates the chain of events leading to death. It answers the question, what ultimately killed this person? Examples: a gunshot wound to the chest, a myocardial infarction heart attack, stage 4 lung cancer, acute fentanyl overdose. The mechanism of death explains the physiological or biochemical process that occurs as a result of the cause, ultimately stopping life. It answers, how did the cause actually lead to death? Examples: a gunshot wound cause gives massive hemorrhage, mechanism gives death due to blood loss. Chronic alcoholism cause gives liver failure, mechanism gives death from metabolic collapse. COVID-19 cause gives acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS gives death from oxygen deprivation. The manner of death categorizes the circumstances under which the cause occurred. It answers, was the death natural, accidental, intentional, or unexplained? Categories: natural, resulting purely from disease or aging, for example, Alzheimer's, heart disease. Accident, unintentional injury, for example, car crash, overdose * without intent to self-harm. Suicide, self-inflicted harm with intent to die, for example, hanging, intentional drug overdose. Homicide, death caused by another person, for example, stabbing, poisoning. Undetermined, insufficient evidence to classify, for example, decomposed bodies, conflicting evidence. Significance of autopsies in medicine and law enforcement. Autopsies provide essential information for disease research and medical advancement. Autopsies advance medicine by exposing how diseases damage organs and progress. They validate diagnoses, for example, confirming cancer spread missed in scans, uncover hidden mechanisms like COVID-19 blood clots, and reveal new conditions. Insights from tissues guide treatments, for example, refining chemotherapy, and track public health threats, antibiotic resistance, heart disease trends. They play a critical role in ensuring justice by uncovering the truth in criminal investigations. Autopsies are indispensable in criminal justice by objectively uncovering facts that witnesses or suspects may obscure. They determine cause of death, for example, strangulation versus drug overdose, identify weapons bullet trajectories, knife wounds, and detect hidden trauma bruises, fractures. For example, a suicide ruled a homicide after autopsy revealed defensive wounds and a toxicology report showed paralyzing drugs. Gunshot residue on a victim's hands disproved a killer's claim of self-defense. DNA under fingernails or trace fibers linked suspects to victims. Autopsies also establish timelines, rigor mortis, stomach contents, and expose staged crimes, for example, drowning after a head injury. By providing irrefutable forensic evidence, they exonerate the innocent, convict the guilty, and ensure accountability, turning the silent testimony of the dead into a pillar of justice. They contribute to public health initiatives by identifying and addressing potential threats. Autopsies strengthen public health by exposing hidden threats that endanger communities. Key contributions include tracking outbreaks, identifying infectious diseases, for example, COVID-19 lung damage, undiagnosed tuberculosis, to alert health agencies and guide containment. Spotting hazards, detecting toxins, for example, lead poisoning, asbestos-linked cancers, or occupational risks, for example, silicosis in miners, to drive workplace reforms or environmental regulations. Monitoring trends, revealing rising causes of death, for example, opioid overdoses, youth heart attacks to prioritize prevention campaigns or policy changes. Improving diagnostics, uncovering misdiagnoses, for example, untreated infections, genetic disorders, to refine screening protocols and medical training. For example, autopsies during the AIDS epidemic uncovered how HIV damaged the immune system, accelerating research. Similarly, linking sudden infant deaths to unsafe sleep practices led to back-to-sleep education. By turning individual tragedies into actionable data, autopsies empower governments and healthcare systems to act proactively, saving lives through targeted prevention, early warnings, and evidence-based policy. That's all for today. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.